Well, An Ideal Husband was written in 1895. It's one of his drawing room comedies, and I don't think he ever really meant to make any real political statements in his plays. I think he was primarily interested in entertaining people.
It is by far the greatest blow to married life that there has been since that thing called the higher education of women was invented.
Lady Markaby, Robert is a great champion of the higher education of women.
The higher education of men. That is what I should like to see. Men need it so sadly.
They do, dear. But I'm afraid such a scheme would be quite unpractical. I don't think man has much capacity for development. He has got as far as he can, and that's not very far, is it?
Wilde's life himself and the tragedy that was the last part of his life, and how some of the things that he says in this play, you could reflect back on him and how things turned out for him in the end. And that year, 1895, was an amazingly tumultuous year for him. This play opened in January of 1895. 2 months later, Importance of Being Earnest opened up. 2 months later, he was on trial for the gross indecency. And 2 months after that, he was in prison for 2 years for hard labor.
There is some flaw in each of us. My father tells me that even I have faults. Perhaps I have, I don't know.
I shall send a cipher telegram to the embassy of Vienna to inquire if there might be any secret scandal she might be afraid of.
No, I fancy Mrs. Cheeley to be one of those very modern women of our time, who finds a new scandal as becoming as a new bonnet, and airs both in the park every day at 5:30, no? I am sure she adores scandals, but the great sorrow of her life at present is that she can't manage to have enough of them.
Why do you say that?
Well, she was wearing far too much rouge last night. Not quite enough clothes. That is always a sign of despair in women.
You know, and it just, he could have left the country. I think
they took his name off of the play.
Off the play. And then Queensberry, who had this whole suit against him, he forced him to sell almost his entire estate to pay for the legal bills. And the part that hurt Oscar the most was all the books. The books were his treasures, and you know, to lose all of that.
How very selfish of you.
I am very selfish.
You were always telling me of your bad qualities.
No, I've only told you the half of them as yet, Miss Mabel.
Are the others very bad?
Quite dreadful. When I think of them at night, I go to sleep at once.
I delight in your bad qualities. I wouldn't have you pass one of them.
Oh, very nice of you to say. By the way, Miss Mabel, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Who brought Mrs. Cheeley?
Oh, I think Lady Markaby brought her. Why do you ask?
Oh, I've not seen them for years. That is all.
What an absurd reason. What sort of lady is she?
Well, a genius in the daytime, and a beauty at night.
I find it fascinating too. You know, I could get all into this life and of his life and all, and I've read a lot of it, but people have told me you really got to let that stuff go, and just like he said, worry about the entertainment value of the play as it is, and not get too much involved with Oscar Wilde's life. Yeah. But it's a fascinating story, and they have so much information on him, so many letters and books and things and essays and things that he wrote.
Leave my house. Your house. A house, everything in which has been paid for by fraud. Ask him what the real origin of his fortune is. Get him to tell you how he sold to a stockbroker a cabinet secret. Learn from him to what you owe your position.
It is not true, Robert. It is not true.
Look at him. Can he deny it?
Go. Go at once.
I have not yet finished with you. With either of you. I give you till tomorrow at noon. If by that time you do not do what I bid you to do, the whole world shall know the origin of Robert Chiltern.
I did several years ago, Importance of Being Earnest. I was in the production of that, and that was a play that I did when I was a kid. It's one of the first shows I ever saw professionally, and that and Charlie's Aunt, which is sort of the same time period and all. And to me, Importance of Being Earnest is probably one of the top 5 plays of all time.
Bracelet?
Really?
No! But it looks quite well on me as a bracelet, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. Well, far better than when I saw it last.
When did you see it last?
Oh, 10 years ago. On my cousin, Lady Berkshire, from whom you stole it.
What do you mean?
I mean that you stole that ornament from my cousin, Mary Berkshire, to whom I gave it when she was married. I recognized it at once, but elected not to say anything until I had found the thief.
It isn't true.
Oh, why, of course it's true. At this moment, thief is written across your face.
I shall deny the whole affair from beginning to end. I will say that I've never seen this wretched thing, that it has never been in my possession.
And I've enjoyed the ride immensely. I loved getting into that time period. And one of the things that attract me about the play, too, is that it's a comedy, but then it turns serious. I love that part.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is witty and fun, but when Cheveley comes in with the blackmail, it gets serious, and then we have some drama, and I always like the drama. So.
Lady Chilton, I have a certain amount of very good news to tell you. Mrs. Cheveley gave me up Robert's letter last night, and I burnt it. Robert is safe.
Safe. I am so glad of that. What a good friend you are to him. To us.
There is now only one person who could be said to be in any danger.
Who is that?
Yourself.
I in danger? What do you mean?
Lady Chilton, last night you wrote to me a very beautiful, womanly letter. You wrote it to me as one of your oldest friends, and one of your husband's oldest friends. Mrs. Cheveley stole that letter from my rooms.
John, thank you so much
Okay.
for sitting here and sharing all this wonderful Oscar Wilde information. I'm sure that people that watch this are going to enjoy it thoroughly.
Well, thanks. You know, because as I said, I could go on and on about Oscar Wilde. It's a fascinating story, and there's a lot of books out there on him. There's a very definitive biography on him right now that was just written about 10 or 20 years ago, and his plays are coming back, and they're in the public domain, so they're being done all over, and it's, you know, he's one of the greatest. I think. So,
Fantastic.
thanks, Wayne.
Thank you,
Thanks.
John.